The Division Global Event Onslaught PTS 1.8.1. All you need to know. Alright guys, the first thing you're going to see once you are logged into the PTS is that the global event Onslaught is now active. You will see the first part which is saying a little bit more about global events in general, which you all already know, and the next panel is going to tell you a little bit more about the global event Onslaught itself, something more about those global event caches that you are going to get during this global event. So let's just go to the global event area, and first thing I'm going to show you is that it lasts only 2 more days on the PTS, and we will open those caches. Here you can see season 6 superior cache, and then you can see that we can get Firecrest, Predator's Mark build, Lone Star, and Reclaimer. Those are the 4 gear sets that you're going to get during global event Onslaught, and I just bought each of the caches, and I will open it in front of you so you can clearly see what you're going to get in these caches. This season 6 cache is probably going to be renamed in the Superior Onslaught cache when actually this global event is going to hit, and it is going to hit somewhere in May. So I will just open each cache in front of you, and then we will move a little bit forward. This video is more of an info video. Later in the video I will show you how actually this global event Onslaught is working. I will show you exactly 2 builds that I was using while I was testing this global event. I will tell you immediately. One was the Striker, and the second one was a Predator's Mark build. I play a lot. You see, almost ranking tier 2 during the global event, which is nothing important, but just to say the missions which are going to be available during global event are Stolen Signal, Warren Gate, Power Plant, Police Academy, Broadway Emporium, and the Russian Consulate. So those are the missions which are going to be available during global event Onslaught. I will let you see the parts of my Russian Consulate on PTS on challenging mode, but first things first, let's see what this global event Onslaught is all about. Alright, we are having Onslaught. It said always active, deal burn, bleed or gas effects to enemies in addition to normal damage. Reload to change the effect. Savage Onslaught. Onslaught behavior: enemies are vulnerable to one effect type and resistant to others. Agents take increased damage from resistant enemies. Brutal Onslaught. Savage Onslaught behavior plus when 2 or more group members kill vulnerable enemies within 2 seconds, each member can reload to gain a damage bonus for a single clip. To make this thing a little bit more clear, I will show you the gameplay from the Russian Consulate, and I will try to explain how this thing is working. Before that, let's move into the shooting range, and I will show you what's going on in the shooting range, and then I will show you gameplay and important stuff. You will be fully clear with what this global event is bringing to us. I will say that it is original. We never had something similar before. Comparing that to the Blackout, which had shock ammo, which we were introduced already in the underground. These effects, ability to imply 3 different status effects on the target, is completely new concept in the Division. Alright guys, you can see that we are in a shooting range. I am having my Predmark classified, and before we start to shoot, just notice the small fire icon on the left side of my health bar. Then you can see the bleed icon, and you can see the gas icon. By each reload you are switching your status effect, and this status effect is the one you are going to inflict on the enemy target. You are going to apply bleed, gas and burn status effect on your enemy targets. Now the more reload speed you have, you will be able to quickly find the status effect which is actually going to do damage to your enemies, which is going to be pretty tricky because every enemy have individual resistance. It will be more clear once we see the gameplay, what I'm talking about. So let's quickly jump to the gameplay, guys. Later on, while I was watching the gameplay video, I noticed that you don't have to guess which status effect is going to do the damage to the enemy. You can simply look at the small status effects icons above the head of each particular enemy and see exactly what is his weakness. So I made a couple of screenshots to show you what I mean. This was the insert into already finished video. Sorry guys, I found out that a little bit later. Let's continue. We are in the front of the Russian consulate and I will go challenging mode with the Savage Onslaught modifier. There is a brutal onslaught modifier too, but it is for a group play. Important thing to say is that you can enable modifiers only on the missions which are belonging to the global event Onslaught playlist, like Stolen Signal, Warring at Power Plant, Police Academy, Broadway Emporium and Russian Consulate. I'm saying this because once you decide to play a mission that are not part of the playlist, you will feel like a god. The power to apply status effect on a target at any time you want is amazing. When we go through this part of the video, I will show you a small clip from the Amherst Apartment legendary solo and you will see the sheer power of the Onslaught global event. But let's continue with this part. If you remember the description of the Savage Onslaught modifier, then you know two things. First, enemy is resistant on two types of status effects, and the second, enemy which is resistant to status effect is dealing the increased damage. In this clip you can clearly see how I am receiving that increased damage, and by reloading the gun very often I am actually searching for the status effect which will apply the damage to the targeted enemy. Once you find the right type of status effect, you will annihilate the target, but every enemy have individual resistance, so it can be really hard to put them down if they are rushing you and both targets responding differently to your status effect. I hope that I managed to give you the explanation about how global event Onslaught is working, and now let's see how this thing is working in the hardest mode in the game, only without the modifier enabled. Let's go to the Amherst Apartment legendary mode. The expression that you will feel like a god in the missions that are not on the GE Onslaught playlist maybe is a little bit too strong, but on the other hand you will be able to put down enemies so quick even in the legendary missions with the simple striker build that you will have a crazy fun and an awesome feeling of power and happiness while doing it. You can only imagine what will happen in Lexington with this setup during the Onslaught global event. Now I will let you see a little bit more of a gameplay, and after that we will move on to the builds. I will show you my two builds which I was using on the PTS and tell you important stuff about them so you can prepare yourself for the May update. If you are having some of the suggestions, feel free to leave them in the comment section below this video. In a couple of seconds those nasty shotgunners are going to spawn and I will have my vengeance for all those nasty kills they did on my ass in these 2 years of playing the Division. I don't have words to describe how satisfying this part of the mission was, and I was feeling so happy that I can pay back to them, and I don't know guys, I'm just making jokes and a little bit fun of it. I know this gameplay is not going to take too long. I just wanted you to see the whole picture, and let's get to those builds. Alright guys, why Striker? Let's do Striker first. Simply because of set bonus 6, Striker's persistence. Every hit adds self-healing bonus for 0.02% of max health per second. I'm not gonna read to the end, you all know what set bonus 6 in a classified Striker is doing. Those resistant enemies are going to be a great way to stack up your healing and your damage on them. On the other hand, the increased damage coming from those enemies is nasty, and you will need any heal you can get during the gameplay from the missions on the GE playlist. Another important thing is that you put reload speed everywhere you can. So I'm just gonna go quickly through my weapons. Lightweight M4, destructive, deadly and predatory, again because of the healing, because of that increased damage coming from the enemies that are resistance on your status effects. And I'm having reload speed on my magazine, and I'm also having a reload speed on my underbarrel. If we go to the character, you will see my reload speed on this Striker build is 1.85 seconds, and the reload speed bonus is 57%. I highly suggest that you go with the reload speed because you will need to reload very often in order to find the damage which will work on the enemy. So that's all I'm going to say about the Striker. Why Predator's Mark? Since you're already inflicting that status effect on the target, I just wanted to multiply that damage with the Striker. In case the enemy is not resistant on a bleed damage, you will get that awesome damage coming from the set bonus 6 in the Predmark, which you all know how it working. So Predator is kind of a logic way to go, because you will get that crazy bleed damage, 120% coming from the Predmark, plus all those two status effects that you can apply on your target. You wanna go 9000 stamina with this one. I will show you quickly my rifles. I'm having destructive, deadly and predatory as a source of healing again, even on this build. And my secondary, deadly, vicious, destructive, again it's the same rifle as in a Striker. It is a damage rifle. Of course you also want to go with the reload speed, but you will have even greater reload speed on the Predmark because of his talents. You're already having a 10% reload speed as a set bonus 2 on the Predmark, and if we go to the character, you will see that my reload speed bonus is 77%, even faster than on the Striker. Reload time 1.64 seconds. So also you can go enemy armor damage on the vest, on the mask, on your knee pads. You wanna have increased damage here. I don't believe you need to go with the health, but you can go with health here if you're feeling too squishy. Crit chance, crit damage, assault rifle damage. I don't have gloves with enemy armor damage, but I will switch crit damage for enemy armor damage. And again reload speed on the holster. And that's it, guys. I'm not gonna go into great details about those builds. You can find my Predmark for PvP and PvE on my YouTube channel. I will also leave you a link in the YouTube cards about my Predmark, and be sure to check out the second part of that video, which is clearly talking about the PvE. It is unusual build with a great reload speed, and I also having the assault rifle with intense in a third slot. But that's it, guys. I'm not gonna go too much into details, as I said, and I will wrap up the video right here. Hope you liked the video. I really hope that I managed to explain you all you need to know about global event Onslaught. If you're having some questions or you want to comment, leave the comment below this video. If you're new to the channel, consider to subscribe, and I will see you guys in my next video.